Welcome to Risky Thoughts with Rob and Roy.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Roy. And today we have a special guest for...
Zhang?
There he goes. There he is. Okay. And today, we were having a discussion like out in the park. We had a couple of beers. And once again, like I feel like this is just becoming like a reason for us just to get together and drink beer.
Podcast.
But hide it in the front of work. But anyways, we're going to talk about that too. Hiding things, lying about things. And today I am not going to lie. I'm not going to lie, even a white lie on the episode. And let's see how hard that is. Okay, so you guys are going to have your conversation about lying.
I'm going to call you out when you actually lie.
No, you can't abuse it. Okay, you can't. There's just not going to be truth or dare. Because I thought about that already. I'll shut this shit down.
No. I'm not gonna specifically like try to pull a lie out of you. But when you do lie, I'm going to call you out on it. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's fair.
Zhang, you down for this experiment, this social experiment? Because we can't go outside.
I wasn't prepared to pay attention, but now I got to pay attention.
Yeah, I know. I could tell. Like you're like watching me like a hawk right now. All right. Okay. So lying, it's really important. Like little white lies and stuff like that. Like for example, everyone lies to their girlfriends and their wives, and it's just a fact.
Not everybody.
Huh?
Not everybody.
That's supposed to be a lie. It's a joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like checking if he's lying, but then we're checking if I'm lying. Okay. So it's like 99%. We all lie. We watched that movie, The Invention of Lying, with what's his name?
Gervais.
Yeah, there you go. By the way, I watched the UK. I know we're talking about like some old ass shit right now, but like I watched the UK like Office. It's like horrible.
Yeah, it's not even close to as funny as like.
I don't understand it, and like people will come to me, well, you don't understand the wit. It's like, bro.
Yo, did you actually watch it though? Is that a lie?
I watched one episode. I watched one episode. I didn't understand what the fuck they were talking about in their like British like accent, and nothing against British people. I just didn't understand what they were saying. I didn't understand the tonations of what it was. Just not entertaining. And like he always giggles. Like he giggles at his own laughs, like his own jokes. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys like
Michael Scott.
No, Ricky Gervais.
Oh, Ricky. Oh, is Ricky Gervais in the UK version of The Office?
Yeah.
He is the one who created it. I
didn't know
think. Okay, I'm making sure I'm not lying here, because,
Just because you add context by saying like I think, it doesn't like take away from the statement that you just made. This is the complexity of what telling the truth is really about. Like, can you just hide a lie by making like a little like
comment
disclaimer at the end by being like, well, I think.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it tells you that there's a
makes
tinge.
the lie better. Actually.
It makes what? I always talk like that.
So it's funny. My boss. I'm not going to determine whether it was current or previous boss, but one of my bosses likes to sugarcoat whenever he makes a statement. He's always very careful when he speaks. Language is like of the utmost importance to him. So he'll always open a statement whenever it's like a troublesome statement, or it could be like perceived as like something that's what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know, like just something that you shouldn't say. He'll always open up with like, in my opinion, ... and then like the rest of the sentences it follows, right? So it'll be like, well, what should we do here? We have a problem on site, and like nobody really wants to take the liability of saying this is how you should proceed.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll always be like, well, in my opinion, blah 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 blah. He'll say whatever he has to say. And it's just like, well, is that an actual formal instruction, or are you just like postulating that this is something that you could do? And it's just like, well, in my opinion, you need to figure out that answer for yourself. It's like, well, what the fuck does that even mean? It's just a very creative way of like always hiding behind that little like prefix of like, well, in my opinion.
It's kind of like lawyer talk, right?
Yeah,
very
it's very
double
much so.
speak.
Yeah,
and
To cover your ass.
yeah. And I feel like we're all, as a society, getting exponentially better at it.
Which then means like everything gets worse.
Exactly. Isn't that the irony?
Well, why does it get worse?
Because you're adding a layer of shit on top of like what the actual facts were, the truth of the matter.
But it just makes everybody more defensive. Really.
Okay, so let's break it down in like our good old fashioned risky thoughts way. I think we need to separate things here. So there's lying with your feelings right? So in my opinion is like I determine that as lying with your feelings, right?
Okay.
Really, he wants to say, Rob, I'm paying you fucking X amount of dollars, and I need you to fucking figure this out on your own. That's what, that's like in that tone, in the tonation too. So you can lie with the tone, right? Now there's also just now in a language, he's correct. In just the language and the verbose or whatever you want to call it, right? Is like he's telling the truth. It's like in his opinion, he thinks that you need to figure it out. But the lie is actually he's lying with his feelings. You do not know where you stand with this guy in a feeling sense, right? Like that I know this because I am the master at hiding this. Like I am the nicest guy. I'm the nice guy. I'm not a fucking simp. I'm a nice guy. Like there's a big difference.
Well, that's a lie. I'm
Why?
kidding.
Okay, yo.
I'm kidding.
Are you dangerous?
Wait, you called me fucking simp? But yeah, I get. You know what I mean? Like, am I dangerous? What do you? Wait, what? I'm a nice guy and then a simp, and you got dangerous. How did you get that? I'm trying to not to lie with my feelings right now.
Okay, so I guess like to clarify, like,
This is good, bro. I like this.
it's kind of like you put up because maybe I do that too. Like I play the fool sometimes. I like to pretend like I'm oblivious, but really like I'm collecting information all the time. So
Right.
people think I'm a nice guy, but I'm actually like if push comes to shove, like not that I'm gonna hurt you. But
Okay, I used to do that. I used to pretend like I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that. I learned to just tell the truth that, like, hey, listen, I might be incompetent here. Like, with even my boss currently, I don't know how to do this. Like, I'm bad at this. I am a person who is not that smart, and I need trials to learn. I actually say it like that now. And it's very weird because now I get the response back with the lying of feelings. Like, people are nicer to me now. Like, I'm sensitive. It's very interesting. So they're lying to me. It's just like, but what I really want to hear is like, hey, listen, I'm not okay with you being stupid. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear that. I want to hear, I'm not okay with you being who you are.
so you're kind
And
of
working
like
with you.
upset at people for like people pleasing, or
I'm actually upset because I'm actually upset of what I am and what I continually am
you're
in
like,
certain
this is
domains.
this is what I do.
Yeah, this is like a complete projection.
This is
outwards.
what I used to do in this realm of work. Right now, there's
Isn't it so important though? Like it's like, I feel like people who are successful do this at work.
they mask feelings or they tell the truth and they're direct. They don't
mask
waste
their
time.
Feelings.
I think that's relative to the position and the company and like what you do. But
Middle management.
This makes me think like this is where I wanted to get to at some point in this conversation. And I think we're gonna have to backtrack and go back and forth a few times on this. But like, when is it appropriate to lie? Is it ever appropriate to lie? Like, is that considered?
You know what? I used to think it's not okay to lie, but I feel like more and more I'm understanding like what makes the world turn, and like I don't know what show I was watching, or maybe it was a trailer for a movie, but it was saying something about how and I guess this is like related to like hedge fund managers, but you either get there first or something else, or you cheat. And so is it right to like lie? I think.
Well, what's the objective of the lie there? It
Right.
sounds like your objective is for personal gain of some sort.
Yeah.
Well, the whole argument that I would make that makes that an unjust reason to lie is that when you lie for personal gain, you're lying on the wrong. See, lying for someone else's benefit, even though it's still lying and it really shouldn't be considered any different. Like if your wife says, "Do I look fat in this?"
Yeah.
And if your answer to her is ever like, "Yes, you look terrible in that," that's an offensive comment. She's going to take offense to it. She's going to get upset by it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would say that it's more justified to tell a lie then than to tell a lie for self-advantage.
So you're saying like lying for other people is better than lying for yourself?
But like, is that even?
There's an altruistic like aspect to it.
Yeah, but is that just like sugarcoating the truth of like lying is never good? Like, I mean,
it goes back to like, do you really think in these like black and white terms? Like, I don't know. That's a tough one because my intuitions are that lying for other people are better than like lying for yourself. But at the end of the day, like it's probably no better one or the other. I think. I don't know.
Well, I think so. If we're gonna go down this road of like, if I was to make an argument to you, right, and I was to say, "Hey, Zhang, I can explain to you why it's better to lie in the situation with my wife," and I can say to you, "Well, it's a more compassionate response, and the intent of the lie is actually for some net benefit of the utility of the system that we're dealing with here." But I could also make an argument in the contrary to say, well, if I lied to her about how she looked, there's a risk I'm putting her at where if she goes out in public like that, perhaps someone says, "You look fat in that dress. What the hell are you doing walking around in that?"
Yeah.
And she was just like, "Well, my husband lied to me then." Right now I feel like offended and like violated by this man who just told me that I'm fat, but that means that my husband lied. Now I feel twice as bad. So I can make an argument that it's not favorable to tell her that either. Perhaps the better way to do it is to take a political approach and say, rather than giving her a direct yes or no answer, you can be like, "You know what? I really like that black dress that you wear. Maybe you should," actually even saying it like that with the "maybe you should wear that," that's bad too. That's a slip. But like you can sugarcoat the answer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you can just misdirect what you're trying to say.
Oh my God, yeah. Like this is bringing me back. Okay, anyways.
But is this a lie? Is that also lying?
Okay.
Do you know? This is where I get the line is so
well,
blurry.
I mean, in the then the examples when you bring up are problematic too, because like, if your wife or significant other comes to you and she does look fat in a white leotard, and you're just like, "Yeah, you don't look fat," and then she goes out in it, and people, I don't know, she can visibly tell that people are
judging her or
whatever. So it's like if you lie to her because you're the only person that's probably going to even like notice this, then maybe that's okay, but it's like for her sake lying to her does her no benefit.
Well, the position that Jordan Peterson takes is that when you lie under any context, you're actually damaging your own psyche because you're actually creating an alternate truth.
Yeah, which I think, I do agree that it does hurt you, but like sometimes I feel like you do need to lie. Like you can't. And like sometimes lies of admission are also part of lies.
But could I not respond like, "Hey, listen, honey, I don't want to answer that question"?
No,
I mean, that's pretty big.
Well, why not?
Because it is an implicit answer of like, "Yeah, I look fat in this."
I like that though. That's nice, like lawyer talk.
Huh?
Like, I don't concur.
Yeah, like that's not a good answer.
So you can't say I don't really want to answer this question.
No,
I plead the fifth.
But all of these, if the second that you choose to refuse to answer the question, she's going to assume.
But why is that your problem?
Because you care about her. Your objective is to make sure that she doesn't feel hurt.
Okay, so if that's the objective, then you know what? Lie.
Well, more importantly, is she even right to ask you that question?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not right. Like,
Yeah, but then it's like you don't want to spend like the whole night explaining to her why she shouldn't ask that question in the first place. She's like, do I look fat in this dress? Like, let me tell you why that's not a good question. And then she's like, I just need a yes and no answer. Like, I don't need an essay about, why you shouldn't answer this way.
oh man, it's so complicated. Because I told you that story where my ex, like, she was really good at decorating, like, Rice Krispie bars. Mm-hmm. She wanted to turn that into a business, and I right off the bat, I was just like, just exactly the way you guys is to see me right now. I was just, I didn't know how to answer it. And I was just like, well, like there has to be like another part of it. Like it's not just decorating a Rice Krispie fucking bar, right? That's not a business. I mean, maybe it is, right? I don't know. Anyways, she wanted to know if I was supportive of this idea, right? And like, I answered no, right? And
what'd she say to you?
Well, like a couple of months later, I was just like, I'm single, right? So, I mean, did I feel? I would have felt worse like lying to her in a situation like that because it's so like logical and like it's like something that's we're passionate about. We're always talking about.
But okay, see, this is where we can bring in the discussion about modes of persuasion. The way that you evaluate the answer to that question is that you rely heavily on the ethos. right? The logos.
On the logos, yeah, the logic of it.
Because you're taking the position that that's a rational answer.
Yeah.
But your girlfriend,
Yeah.
ex-girlfriend rather, would probably look at the answer to your question through a lens of the pathos. That's the one that's pathos.
Right.
Which is the appeal to
emotional
emotion.
one?
Yeah. And so like you're never gonna, because you're so heavily reliant on the logos and she's heavily reliant on the pathos, your answer is never really going to jive with what she's expecting to hear you, or I should say what she wants to hear you say, right? And you're like, but you shouldn't be upset about this because this, and this, and you're proving it to her through math. But like that doesn't work. That's just not connecting in her head. She's just like, but you're not supporting me. That's all she hears, right?
Okay, so maybe I didn't like her then. Fucking the best thing happened for
I
me.
hate to break it to you, Roy, but unfortunately, most women are all like this. Like this is not a surprise.
Okay, well, like I said, like Jordan Peterson tip is like, whenever you tell the truth, the best thing happens. Fuck, I need to dump her anyways.
I'm sure if you asked Jordan Peterson if he was asked the question from his wife if she would look fat and
I'm so curious
You're
to know
like, you
how
look so slim, honey. You look so hot.
like the white lies I don't understand. Like if
this is what really bothers me about your answer.
Yeah.
You tell so many fucking white lies.
Yeah.
Over stupider
I
shit.
know. Because
why couldn't you just lie there for her?
So it comes down to, like, in my opinion, I think it all depends on your personal philosophy at that time, right? At that time, like
in that moment,
my personal philosophy is just like, she thinks she's good at something, and I'm saying that I had to give her the exact answer. I said, yes, it looks very pretty, but it's a Rice Krispie bar. Like, you know what I mean? That business is already carved out by Kellogg's. You know, Rice Krispie bars.
The decorating part.
The decorating part is just like, you know.
That's not money enough.
I was not like good enough. Like, that was not a good enough answer for me. I was like, try to come up with maybe make the Rice Krispie bar yourself. You know what I mean? And then, bro.
I thought that was automatically assumed in your description of what she was trying
No, it was not. It was not. You see what I mean? Like, that was a bad idea.
But maybe not though, man. Like, listen, my wife does. Shout out to Patisseria.
Yes.
My wife does baking and decorations for cookies and shit. She's very, very skilled at what she does. But I guess the difference is not just Rice Krispie bars.
That's what I'm saying.
And she bakes it from scratch, and there's an endless like list of different options that you can get. So
right.
I mean, I think you just try and be as honest as you can.
I was being honest there. And you know what I mean? And like it fractured the relationship a little bit, just that little moment. And then more things I did fractured the relationship, and then done. And then listen, the way I broke up with her was literally, I said like, hey, listen, man. I said, hey, listen, man. Like that's another.
Hey, listen, man.
That's another That's a. But you know, like I said it in that way. I'm a little bit drunk right now, so but I said it in a way where it's just like, listen, bro. Like sometimes, like some people just don't match up, and I literally, this is the part where I actually got through to her because I told her the truth. I didn't give her this lies of omission that I get all the time. Like, listen, I'm a little bit resentful and jaded because when I'm on dating apps, like or whatever, talking to people, they give me these lies of omission where they don't tell you everything. They're like, oh, you know, Roy, like I can't, you know, you're so sweet, like, you know what I mean? But I just told her straight, and I saw it in her eyes. Like, I saw the relief when I said, sometimes things don't work out between people. The idea doesn't manifest between both of us, right? And it's okay. Like, it's totally okay. I saw the relaxation, and done. After that, well, you know that the aftermath, there was a little bit of issues on my end because, you know, it was hard for me, but I was very happy that it ended like that. It's like, listen,
doesn't matter.
Who cares? Who cares? We broke up. Like, who cares? She got it. I told the truth. I told the truth at that moment, and it worked out. Every time I don't tell the truth and the fucking white lies, it just causes me more stress.
You know, I think that's a pretty courageous thing to do because, like, in my relationships, I wasn't able to do that.
Very difficult.
And I had to basically wait for them to break up with me. I'm like, oh, now I'm relieved.
Yeah, you were in his ex's shoes.
No.
Yeah. But
yeah, that's not uncommon. That's very common. A lot of people stay in relationships because of complacency, and they don't want to go through
comfort and whatever.
Well, if you don't mind, Zhang, like because I was there for your breakup too, and all the issues you've had, and one thing that I noticed that you do is very fascinating, and I want to kind of like trail this into like something. It's like you would write a lot. Like you actually wrote like a long essay, generally, like just like you're trying
telling what I thought was the truth. Yeah.
Well, yeah, at the moment.
Yeah, which that's why I think it's kind of interesting, like, conversation. Like, how do I feel about that now that I have a lot of, like, time in between me doing that?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the best thing. I don't know if it's the best thing to, like, just lay it out. Because that used to be my, like, previous philosophy. Is just, like, just give it to them straight. I would write these, like, essays.
Yeah, and they're pretty, like,
they're
straight
articulate.
to the point,
They're straight to the point. But, like, do people actually need to hear that stuff? Like, I don't know. I feel differently about that now.
So there's a difference between writing it out and then actually saying it to
100%.
the person's face. And, like, that's where my lying comes from. It's, like, the confrontation. That confrontation is fucking... It's scary.
So what's more overburdening, the feeling of the anxiety induced through confrontation, or through the anxiety of lying to avoid confrontation? Which one of those two is a worse feeling?
Well, I think one's acute and one's like chronic. If you deal with the truth, it's like boom, and it hurts. Now it's over. But if you lie of omission, like, I don't know, it kind of eats at me. I think other people are probably different, but
well, yeah. I think that's very much. Like, you're not unique in that sense.
No, I think it's a very common thing to be eaten up by...
Being agreeable is essentially lying of omission.
Possibly.
Yeah, if someone's, saying their world viewpoint and I disagree with it, like, and I agree,
because
I get a little bit of shoulders going up, just a little bit, and, I have to, like, do this mental gymnastics.
I don't define being agreeable as being somebody who just agrees for the sake of appeasing the other party. I don't think that's the definition of agreeable.
Right.
I don't know what the actual definition of agreeable is.
Maybe it's actually just being agreeable. Like, you agree to contracts where you just...
No, I don't think so, man. That doesn't seem right to me, because that would be
so
like...
So I think my understanding of agreeableness is you're someone who values, like, social cohesion.
That's part of it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the most important part. You're willing to do what it takes to, like,
maintain the peace.
And I don't know if lying's, like, a part of it.
Well, that's the part. Like, that's where I start to draw the line to say that, like, I'm not so sure that if you're gonna tell a lie just to be agreeable, I don't know if that's, like, the actual definition of the
being agreeable.
Like the agreeable as it's defined in, like, the personality types. Like, I don't think that's.
I think that comes with the territory. I think when you think about someone who's agreeable, they're willing to, like, sacrifice what they believe in or their convictions.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. So I would agree that an agreeable person would be someone that, like, hey, man, do you want to get a hot dog? I want to get a hot dog. I think an agreeable person would just be like, I'll come get a hot dog with you. Yeah, I don't really want one, but, like, I'll come with you to get a hot dog. Like, it's not like you're willing to forego your own plans and whatever, like
if you want to get burgers from me.
To please, though. To please.
Yeah, but it's not because, like... Now, if the person was like, I really want you to get a hot dog, then you would be like, well, I don't really want one, but I'll have one with you because you want me to have one. That's being agreeable. But if the person's like, yo, man, you want to have a hot dog with me? And you can sense they want you to have one.
Yeah.
Just being like, yeah, man, I'd love a hot dog right now. Yeah. That's lying. But if you're just like, I don't really want one, but I'm going to have one because you want to have one, that's what I would consider to be being agreeable in a very ethical way.
But both of those are agreeable.
No, I don't think that by lying about it, you're being agreeable. Like, I don't think that's agreeable. Like, that's just lying.
I think that needs its own, like, category.
Yeah.
Of, like, because I think being agreeable in the sense that you don't really care about, what you do or whatever. Like, it's like, okay, like, I prefer hot dogs. I prefer burgers. Mm-hmm. But you're down to get, like, hot dogs? Okay, I'll come with you to get hot dogs.
Yes.
Whereas, like, you're actually, like, vegan or you're vegetarian. Someone's like, you want to get a hot dog? And you're like, yeah, okay. And you end up getting a hot dog just because...
Yeah, because I think that there's a big difference. And the biggest difference, if you want to look at it from a mechanical sense, would be something along the lines of, like, if the objective is to improve the social cohesion, as you had stated earlier, Zhang, I would say that by lying to yourself and like by lying in general, you're actually compromising that relationship more than you're helping it by agreeing to go have that hot dog. Because you're actually creating a setting to which you are mentally uncomfortable with that situation, and that's going to create tension in the situation. Whereas, like, if you're comparing the two scenarios where you're like, yeah, man, I don't really eat hot dogs, but I'll come with you, versus, yeah, I'll eat a hot dog with you just because, I think that the scenario where you're telling them the truth but going along with it anyways is going to have a higher probability of a successful outcome in that relationship than if you just lie about it, because then you're going to always be like, yo, I don't want to see this guy, because what if he asks me to go see, I'll have a hot dog again. I don't have a hot dog again.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I think a lot of people in friendship groups are like that.
Yes, I agree with that too.
Just, yeah.
So,
but is there something wrong with that? I don't know. Just coping mechanisms at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just, there's something about truth telling that you listen to Jordan Peterson and he's so convincing that like telling the truth is like the ultimate path, right? Like it's the only truth that he like imposes on people. Be honest, always. And whatever comes of it, comes of it.
I mean, but we did talk about like the difference between beating someone over the head with the truth stick and like.
And then, yes, true.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that. I've definitely said some awful things to people that I thought was the right thing to say, and in retrospect, like I do want to take them back.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I would have several moments in my life where that happened. So I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily turn out the best, but again, like, is that lie of omission? Like, not really, because like, who am I to like say these things to these people? It's not a lie of omission if I like don't bring this stuff up.
Yeah, I'm not so. Yeah, because if I think something of somebody and I just don't ever discuss it, that's technically a lie of omission because I'm just not addressing what I'm considering to be true.
Yeah.
But if there's never a request to discuss that topic, then it's not really a lie. You're just not talking about it.
Yeah, but
Semantics, I guess.
And it's also problematic is like if you had a friend who had like God forbid, like a heroin problem.
Can I read the definition of agreeableness according to the Big Five?
Yeah.
So, the agreeableness trait reflects individual differences in general concern for social harmony. Agreeable individuals value getting along with others. They are generally considerate, kind, generous, trusting, and trustworthy, helpful, and willing to compromise their interests with others. Agreeable people also have an optimistic view of human nature. Yeah.
There's one word in there that really makes me believe that the lying part is definitely not acceptable.
As
it's
being part of agreeable. Yes.
So then the argument is like compromise the self-interest. Lying.
So lying is compromising your self-interest by definition of Jordan Peterson.
I mean, but like
so you're trading off your self-integrity.
But that agreeableness isn't a definition from Jordan Peterson, though, is it?
That's the Big Five.
That's not from.
That's the Jordan Peterson one.
He didn't come up with like the Big Five.
Isn't that Myers-Briggs?
No, that's not the Jordan Peterson, I guess, rendition of it. But yeah,
the main idea is like, you can't. The compromising thing, I would say,
when you lie, you hurt yourself.
When you lie to yourself, that context of compromising your self-interest, that's when it becomes kind of a problem.
Yeah, of
course, yeah.
So I mean, I guess like agreeableness isn't like black or white. I think
to a certain degree, let's just say, you know,
because I've been agreeable my whole life, and it's only in the last like couple years I've become I've become less agreeable because I realize like, well, I'm sacrificing my own self-interest for like other people, and for what?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
What's really interesting is that all of us here are agreeable people. All three of us are agreeable people.
But it all comes down to like this idea of like discernment, right? You have to have discernment when you're like, when is it appropriate to lie and when it isn't. If you were hiding Jews in the attic and Nazis came and they're like, "Are you hiding anybody?" You're gonna lie to them.
Yeah.
See, that's a very interesting one.
Yeah, because you can dissect that. It's just like, number one, the Nazis come in. That's not part of your group. You know what I mean? You don't want to be socially cohesive to these people.
Well, the point is the consequence of the truth.
That's almost like society at that point.
Yeah.
Like society is just like, are you gonna lie to us or not?
So fuck society. I'll lie to society all day.
And a lot of people do. A lot of people don't pay their taxes. I'm paying my taxes, by the way.
I don't want to answer that question. I'm kidding.
Is that a live omission?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. Like that, the Nazis are not part of your social group. So is it okay to lie?
What does the social group have to do with you telling a lie? The whole point of not lying is that you don't compromise your own psyche.
So what? Then I tell them the truth? What the fuck?
That's why I said it's a very complicated situation.
I don't think it's complicated. I think if you look at the definition of agreeable, it's to, you're I think you can actually put in both those definitions that you explained into this agreeableness framework.
But what I'm saying is that one of those two has a better outcome than the other. If they both achieve the same goal in terms of being agreeable.
I guess like that example is kind of a bad example because it is a dicey situation.
Yeah, but that's the best one.
It's like you are kind of like putting your life on the line.
Yeah.
Well, the agreeableness has nothing to do with that situation where you have a Nazi knocking on the door looking for the Jew in your attic. That is not a situation where agreeableness has anything to do with the response. The response there, if you're going to lie, you're doing it out of consideration for the well-being
of someone else.
Right.
Yeah, but...
Well, hold on a second, because that's arguably true about the hot dog scenario.
Exactly.
But it's not just the well-being, it's the life. Like there's
levels to this.
So what you're essentially saying is that you are willing to compromise the well-being of your psyche.
Yes.
For the life of the Jewish person in the attic.
And that's exactly for every situation. That's why both of those are actually mutually exclusive. It's a mutually exclusive thing to lie for the hot dog because he's angry, and one to also appease him because you're always doing damage to yourself, right? So now you're saying, what am I willing? Because there could be weaker individuals that will be like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, they're right there,
and then they go kill themselves as a function of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and in which case that's a time when you would. So the question always comes down to, this is a very interesting.
Is it worth lying to?
Is it worth fracturing your psyche?
Yeah.
For the outcome of that action.
Right.
It goes back to like altruism a little bit.
Yeah. It's also a utilitarian perspective as well, because you're trying to pick the path of least damage.
Least damage,
and
right?
That's going to be the best for society.
But the altruism thing is very interesting because that's connected to your personal philosophy, right? So what the fuck is your personal philosophy? Does Roy care about like this group here or this group there or the society? No. So I don't care about lying. Like I've got one mission here that I want to do, and if anything outside of it, I don't care. I just don't care. Like look at Tyler Durden. I was talking to you about it. He has a personal philosophy. The guy fucking lies. He does whatever he wants, right? As long as it fits within his personal philosophy, he's gonna keep. He doesn't care about it. Right. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck about it. You know what I mean? It's depending on what you give a fuck about, right? You care about your wife. So, you know what? Now there's an issue. You know what I mean? There's something where I will definitely take this like
So there's actually another layer to it. You're basically suggesting there's another layer of evaluation that has to happen here, and that's personalized.
Personalized.
Because I can't determine whether or not like what you're suggesting is that in the scenario where we're talking about lying to my wife if she looks good in the dress or not.
Yeah.
I'm essentially weighing on the scale fracturing my psyche against her well-being, psychologically or emotionally or whatever.
Right.
And if I personally make the decision that her well-being emotionally is more important than my the state of my psyche,
right, then
I can justify lying in that moment.
And what's an interesting thing, which I want to give out to everyone, right? But it's only if you understand it. It's just like you can be able to, through these interactions of lying and detecting where someone's lying, you're able to actually build out that person's implicitly and inductively their personal philosophy. I don't lie to people at work. I just tell them the truth, right? Now you know that Roy cares about growing in a work environment. Do you know what I mean?
I totally get it. Yeah. There's like a, and this is actually a good segue, because what I want to do is like I want to like parlay this possibly into another episode that we can do, but this makes me really think about like, so social IQ, right, is something that you could sort of say is developed through experience.
Yeah.
And one of the tools in having a high social intelligence is being able to spot that inference that you just referenced.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, so, okay, I just met this guy, but I noticed that he lies in this setting, but he doesn't lie in that setting.
Aha.
So you start building a definition
there you go.
of the character.
And this is where, like, I'm not trying to... Okay, you know what? I'm going to say I do this better than a lot of people.
Yeah,
because I'm in some weird way I analyze these type of things because it's how I can get to know people better.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I could dress it up. I'm just saying, is this manipulative? Not really. This actually helps me get in touch with people even closer than the average person. Most people will be like, oh, this guy lied in this. He's a damn liar in every category. Right? No, that's not how it works. Because he doesn't lie statistically in one category. For example, when it comes to philosophical thought like this, Roy's a lot more disagreeable. Do you understand?
I do understand.
So he's a lot more disagreeable, and he will disagree with you because this is something of importance to him, right?
That is so fascinating that you can actually say that, because I've never thought of it like that. I've always thought about it as either a person's a liar,
yeah, or he's not.
Or they're not a liar,
and that's a binary thing. And it's like we're complicated, right?
Yeah. So perhaps like, but maybe I would say it like this. I would say that we're all liars.
Absolutely.
Right? But we're all liars under different circumstances. Right? Because we would all have a threshold to the point where we would lie.
Yep.
Like I would say that 99% of the population would lie in the example of having them hiding a Jewish person in their attic during the time of the Nazis.
Right.
Because most people, 99% of people, if not more, would be wanting to ensure the safety of the people hiding in the attic.
And the ones who don't, respect to them because their ethos is like on a different level.
Yes.
You know?
And then like you can start getting down the gradient. Like for example, the next question, for example, in the tier here of the 3 examples we gave tonight, the lying to the wife, perhaps 70% of people would justify lying to the wife in that setting because again, most people would consider the well-being of the wife of higher importance than their own psyche.
Yeah.
But if you go all the way down to the example of the hot dog, maybe 20% of people. But the bottom line is we are all liars, just to a certain degree, under certain pressures.
Exactly, and it's very important. Just because we're all engineers, like this idea comes from that once again that superimposition that you can analyze a system at different degrees. You can look at the stress between the materials. You can look at it, analyze it in terms of moments around the graph, or you can analyze it in terms of forces. So it's like, but each one gives you different information and it helps you design and understand the entire system, but you can't do it all at once. So humans are going to naturally go with the least energy and they're just going to make a blanket statement. He's bad, he's good. But actually no, he's bad in some domains and he's good in some domains. That's why the villain, when we watch Breaking Bad or whatever, we start to identify because we're starting to see they're actually very persuasive when we watch these because we want to be like Breaking Bad or Bryan Cranston. But in reality, he's actually a fucking asshole. When you look at it in an aggregated and you build your full decision matrix, he's an asshole to his family. Rob, what is your personal philosophy? Like, is that a good thing? Is it good? Because we don't look at it that way. He's doing damage to his son, but he's winning. He's winning. He's getting money. He's fucking killing. He's growing his empire.
Those, like twisted logic or twisted morality, where you lie to your, maybe like using like we were talking about like logos earlier, like using reasoning, losing logic to justify selfish motives.
Right.
Like
if the intent is bad, is what you're suggesting.
Yeah, because I mean the whole story started with him, like, oh yeah, like I've like a baby to support, and I'm gonna. Yeah,
the whole reason he started the drug peddling was so that he can make money for the family.
But then
he tells the truth at the end.
Yeah, like, but it's really interesting. Like, that's a great character study because he transforms into someone who I would arguably say like lies to himself and everyone.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, he actually wants power and recognition that
Right.
he got passed over for, I guess.
Yeah. So here's the thing. He did everything wrong until he came to the realization that, hey, listen, wife, I did this not for you guys. I did it for me. That's when it justified everything, when he made that realization.
Okay, that's interesting. Because like, is that redemption?
I think it's more realization in that point where he realizes that he
He is doing it.
But is it a
Yeah.
redeeming quality? Is the question that Zhang is asking? Like, is that act a redeeming act?
I mean, it feels like it. I don't know why. Like, I just feel like
You want to sympathize with him at that point in time.
well, because he recognizes that, right? It's like someone who's self-aware enough to be like, you know what, I did all these things at the end of the day. It was for me, and I'm gonna sacrifice myself one more time because I'm actually not doing this for me. I'm doing this for someone else.
Yeah,
So, but he didn't do it for someone else.
well, the last act I think is sort of what he's just suggesting because
Spoiler
he
alert.
gives all. Yeah, I mean, for those who haven't watched it, it's a long fucking time it's been out, so too fucking bad.
Yeah.
But he gives all the money to the kids and the wife, right? Remember, he goes and he sets up that whole meeting with the fucking doctors who are able to like launder the money for him, and he puts like the fucking rifle to their head, and he's like, "You're gonna give this much money to my son every so many months, and you're gonna pretend like it's coming from you guys, right?" Like that's what you're referring to, right? Like the conclusion of the whole.
It wasn't, but that also ties in nicely, right? Because the whole idea was, the people he threatened with their lives to get them to give money to, I guess, his family, was what he felt was the injustice. Like, here I am, I'm the super smart guy or whatever, but I didn't get the fame or the money or like whatever, the status, the prestige that group of people got. So he had to turn to a life of crimes. Right, and then at the end of it, he's like, I think in his mind, in the sick, twisted way, poetic justice.
Right. So this is very interesting because, like, at the beginning, he's now, number one, blaming his condition. We all have conditions and health problems that happen to us. And we blame the condition, right? And we're blaming people around us. We're blaming people who are doing better than us.
I guess the point I'm making is that, like, for the longest time, he wasn't taking responsibility for his actions. And then kind of the last story arc is like, he's going to take responsibility for all the things that he did. And he thinks that his chance of redemption is sacrificing his own life.
Yo, this is very interesting because we can say, how much time we got left?
Not very much. We're at 43 minutes, so I think we should start to wrap it up.
Okay, well, I want to wrap it up with the, like, I think I was telling you guys in the last episode, I was reading the book, Not Giving a Fuck or whatever. I don't care. So in the book, they say something about, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, inverse that and you get, with great responsibility, you get great power. So it's very interesting that, like, when he takes responsibility, he actually has like some form of an ultimate power. And it also matters for us as being millennials where we're, consistently like, crying about people in power oppressing us. Well, motherfuckers, you guys can get this power if you take fucking responsibility. And what does that look like? Like I was saying before.
Spoiler, guys, for the next episode, by the way.
Yeah. So, anyways, like, clean up your room, right? And then, if people think that, like, okay, where's my power? I'm doing my responsibilities. Well, no, you have power over your own life. That's it. That's all these movies are about. It's all about the individual psyche. That's it. You know what I mean? It's not complicated. It's not about fucking...
It's interesting. It's like, it's a redeeming quality. It goes down to, like, redemption.
It's redeeming. It's definitely like a redeeming quality. And I do think that at that point of view, it's outside of, like, this personalized thing, because to be redeemed, like, I do want to argue you this on this one last little argument.
I just wanted to pause for a second because I was gonna say bullshit when you said, "Oh yeah, it's
bullshit." No, I'm bullshitting.
I know you're disagreeing with that in your head.
I'm disagreeing with the idea, so that's why and I worded it out. I do apologize. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't understand what you mean by redeeming quality, and in what context. Is it redeeming for a status thing, or is it redeeming
himself.
for yourself?
For the self.
So, okay, and I think I'm having a problem there because that doesn't fit in my like personal philosophy. I don't need redemption. I honestly feel that. Like, I don't need redemption for anything I've done. All the bad things I've done.
But I would argue that, because I would say that earlier tonight you were talking about, you were like a lazy piece of shit who had nothing and didn't do anything.
Yes.
A lot more so, because we're still lazy pieces of shit now.
Yeah.
But a lot more so when you were like younger and you were like, don't you deserve... Like, don't you think that you need to redeem yourself for being that lazy piece of shit that we once upon a time were? Don't you think that now when you get up in the morning and you wash your car or you clean this house, that you are...
But I'm not doing it to redeem myself.
No, but
I think
that's not
it
what
is,
he's suggesting. I'm not saying... I don't think that he's saying that...
So I did sense like there's an importance for the redemption.
It is still important.
Yeah.
But the point is that you're not taking the act for the benefit of being redeemed.
Right.
You just, as a byproduct, there's redemption for you.
There's redemption, but why does that matter? Why do we need to be redeemed?
Because it makes you feel good.
Pretty much.
It kind of cleanses you of all the lies and all the deception that, or the way that you've lived. Because really, that was like you lying to yourself. It's like,
well, that's like the whole the philosophy behind Christianity.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I think that's where I have the gripes with it. It's just like, I don't need motherfucking redemption from God. Like,
It's
that's
not about God.
and that's why I heard it like that.
So maybe what it is kind of is like, is the truth in doing what's right redeeming at all? And then we also have to like really think about like what actually redemption is. But maybe that's for another episode.
Yeah, we got 2 episodes on our hands here now, guys. But let's wrap it up here.
Yeah.
I think we've done a pretty decent deep dive into like understanding lying, why we lie, is it acceptable to lie?
Right.
Do all people lie?
And maybe the thing I want to add is like, do being truthful redeem your life?
Yeah. Can it undo the lies that you've done or somehow make up for it? I don't know. It's a good question. We'll leave that to the listeners to decide. So thank you, everybody, once again for tuning in to another episode of Risky Thoughts. Please check us out on Instagram at riskythoughts.to. We have been making nonsense lies to you guys about
fucking
improving our little platform here and trying to get on YouTube and being more active on Instagram. And we're not going to continue to lie to you guys.
Yeah, no, but listen, I do want to tell the truth. Like, I really do appreciate those of you who are listening to the podcast. Like, seriously, not fucking bullshit. Listen, we've been doing this. We obviously don't care about making a lot of money. We're not making anything. I don't, even if I do this for the next fucking 10 years, I don't care about making a cent. I just want to keep talking our conversations, and I hope you guys are enjoying them.
Yes, and that is what I get paid in, is actually the feel good of having an opportunity to sit down with friends.
Yep.
Exchange some interesting ideas, have some good conversation.
Absolutely.
And lately, a couple of drinks to go along with it. So
it's becoming a bit of a habit here, eh?
Yeah. Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and hopefully our alcohol is not interfering with the quality of our content.
100%.
Have a good night.
All right. Thanks, Zhang.
Thanks for coming in, Zhang.
You're welcome.